And she was like, well, you can leave, but you can't take that baby.
Welcome to the Lips and Language podcast. My name is Cola, where we talk about life, love, and language. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. Let's get into today's topic.
Okay.
God, sex, and conversation. Today, I decided to bring my best friend on here so we can talk about God, sex, and all the things they don't want you to know about in church. So, and moving along with the conversation, I've been doing this whole God and sex series, and I've really been talking about sexuality and abstinence and a whole bunch of different things. And I still have more to go. But as I've been talking about body image and desires and hormones and all the rest of it, I thought this would be a great time. You as a woman and as my best friend, we're kind of just like real and raw about church thingies to jump into a conversation. So first thing I'm going to ask you, when I told you I was doing a God and sex series, what did you think of that?
I was like, that was a bit taboo, like because church doesn't really bring up sex. If they do bring up sex, it's just like, oh, don't have sex before marriage. Save yourself and all these other different. They don't talk about like, if you're already having sex, if you're already in church and things of that nature. Like I was like, Cola, what you talking about? Right. So I was like, but it's a great so I was like, okay, let's do it. Um, so I thought.
Yeah, because like I feel like given my history, and you can get into your history, but given my history, I know that these are topics I would have loved to hear about somebody who wasn't so like, praise the Lord, don't do it no more. You know what I'm saying? Like someone who's a little bit more raw, somebody who's a little bit more in touch with reality. That's the word I want to say. That's the phrase I want to say at least. So in talking about this, I really had to take a step outside of my own comfort level. Like me, you can kick it and talk about it, but it's another thing to put it on a platform and to say, y'all come listen to this topic or this conversation that I'm having about God, sex, and for me to put all my business out there outside of the book that I already wrote. And so, from your perspective, what is your history? What is your kind of like feelings about God and sex?
So I'll start my history. My history being I started having sex when I was very, very young. I was like 12 years old. And I did it because I thought that was how you got love. I come from a household where there was abuse, it wasn't it wasn't sexual, but it was, abuse verbally, it was abuse like physically. And I just wasn't like I didn't understand what love was. So once I got to a point in my life where I wanted to understand, I thought sex was the way. No one told me, hey, don't do that. This is the right thing to do, or you're not old enough to do this or such and such, whatever. So when I did have sex for the first time, uh, it was kind of traumatic because the individual I had sex with, he was, 12 too. His brother egged him on to do it. And then, after I called him, he never responded back. Like he just completely cut me off for 12. His brother told him, who was 19 at the time, yeah, because that's what boys do. And his brother came to my house and was like, this is out of the blue one day. He was like, yeah, Lewis is only a little boy, but I'm a grown man and I do this and do that. He wanted to have, you know? So, it's stuff. So then it progressed and then I'm sleeping with this person because I want love. I'm sleeping with that person because I want love. And um it wasn't until I'd say I probably ooh in my early 30s, I want to say 30 on the head. It wasn't until my early 30s where I was just like, do I want to keep being this way? Although I had been in a relationship and my relationship was like 8 years. um my father had died when I was 31. So I stepped out of everything. I stepped out of myself. I stepped out of everything that I knew about myself. Like, cause I was trying to do a good when I was in a relationship. I wanted to, we were having sex. There were times we were stopped and there were times that we weren't, like trying to have sex, but then, you know, they would step out and have sex with somebody. It was just a mess. And then when my
Mhm.
dad died, I was like, you know what? Do this anymore with anybody. Like I don't want to I don't want my mind or my reality to be here anymore. So then I just, got adventurous. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just, talk to a guy whenever I want to talk to him and use him for whatever. Cause love you anyway. Like in my mind, they're like they don't love you anyway. God loves you and that's it. So you just use them and go about your business.
Mm.
And now we're here and I'm not hunching.
We made it. Full circle, full circle.
Now
But
we're
let's
here.
go back to the 12-year-old you, though. Let's go back to the 12-year-old you who thought that that was a way to get love and who found out
Yeah.
really quickly that boys suck. Like, beyond the fact that the one, like, closed you off, then another one betrayed and came behind his back to try and hit you up. And
Mhm.
all of this in the name of this is what love is. And none of that was true. None of that could have been further from the truth. But how do you
From the
know if you're not being taught? How do you know if all you're taught is don't do it until you're in church? Well, what if you're not in church? Like what or until you're married, sorry, but what if you're
right,
not in church with those lessons? Then who teaches you?
right.
How do you learn about your body image? And at 12, I'm like, I'm sure
Mm.
you were just coming into your own self. Like, were you even fully
Yeah.
developed then to know?
No. Girl, I had no
You're
booby, no nothing. Okay. I had a booty, but I had no boobies. Like I was like flat. But it was interesting because I tell you what, like when I turned 16, I randomly saw the guy who I had sex when I was 12. Like I gave my first time to whatever. And he came to me and he was crying. He was crying. Like I was at my aunt's house and I was walking outside the gate. Everybody knew my auntie house because my auntie lived in Opelika,
Mhm.
305 to like what's up. Anyway, so I'm walking outside my auntie house and I see him on a bicycle and he stops and he runs me as soon as he gets home. He's like, Alex, I tell you, he was crying. He was
Mhm.
crying. He said, I'll do anything for you. Anytime, anything I'll always give to you. And we're 16. You know what I'm saying? So it was, even though I did use him, I did say, hey, I need some money for this and need some money for that. I older I realized like he didn't understand either. He didn't understand like how valuable, your body is because men tend to think that men are just like um always objectifying us, but they should know how precious their body is too. That they shouldn't just be giving it away because someone said, hey, you're a man, you're biologically be this way, and that's not true. you know so to them it's a game until you get to realize that you've wasted time, you wasted energy, wasted this, you wasted that. And for us it's like wasted love, because we think sex is love, sex is sex, but in the same gen we're still suffering because we're not validating understanding. And you know under me, hey, don't do this, my dad don't have sex. I actually had people they know who he was because when I was younger, my mother's son's church,
Mhm.
I would pray and the God would send people just randomly to me, blue. I can remember a time I was like, and I had this boyfriend. We were having sex and I thought I was pregnant, and so down the street because I was living with him full time. And I was like, I don't want to go to church. He's like, let's go. So he takes me to church, and I'm sitting there and I said, God, I just don't want to be pregnant. Like I don't want to disappoint my dad. I tell you no lie. It's Seventh-day Adventist church. Mind you, we're not Adventist. We just came to church.
Mhm.
This guy gets up and he's, if you think you're pregnant, the Lord is saying no.
Ooh. Yeah,
Girl,
come on with
hey,
it.
what you don't? You know what I'm saying? Like, see, it was like I was totally in, and I would get little things like that throughout my young adulthood. God saying this and God saying that. And I just wasn't understanding, connecting God to really myself for real. I was just like, oh, he's just telling me whatever. Let me go back to doing what I was doing. So that was Uh, I mean, I don't know about like adult time when I became an
Yeah,
adult.
no, we'll
If you
get
want
to
me
that
to,
because the thing is, it's
yeah.
like you're saying, body image, it starts from when we're young. It starts from right around that sweet spot,
Mhm.
that age that you're talking about. So you're correct.
Mhm.
Men don't know their bodies. They don't know
Mhm.
how to value
Mhm.
themselves. They often taught to throw them at women, but they don't look at it as them throwing themselves. They look at it as they're
Yeah.
getting a trophy. And I say this all the time. I thought I was playing a
Yeah.
game, but the game was playing me. And the same thing for them.
Mm.
They think they're out here
Yes.
playing the game and the game is playing them. They're losing in the end because they're taking on all these things,
Mhm.
but they're really giving up a part of them every time they join to be with somebody else. But all of this starts
Yeah.
from young. Like, I haven't met
Absolutely.
a grown man today who I can't pinpoint when this started in his childhood or when this started in his
Mhm.
adolescence. And the same with women. I can pinpoint this started
Mhm.
when you were younger. This started when you were in the molding phases and you were supposed to be protected. But unfortunately, the grown-ups around you didn't have an understanding of themselves, didn't have an understanding of
Mhm.
God and the rest of it, so then they couldn't pass that information on to you for you to do better for yourself. And I think it's just really sad. And I think this is a message that needs to go out to not just grown adults, because as adults we have to learn how do we heal those parts of us that we never got to develop. But then as youth, we also need to figure out how do I not walk in the same footsteps as the other generation. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I think because sex is taboo, when talking about it and stuff that people just don't know how to speak to, especially if they're in church and stuff like that. Um, I've known some guys who didn't actually, having sex till they were 8, and then they were just like loose, being like
Yeah.
crazy, like having sex, what I'm saying? So we have to also realize too that some people who don't, there's a lot of people who don't believe in God. They believe in stuff like that. And I'm saying they think they are doing these things that no energy exchange.
Mhm.
There's nothing that's, being exchanged when you're in your body fluids with each other or, oh, did this, I did that. This doesn't mean any, that's not true. And I would like to believe on their another person's good or bad, like had sex years. And I can tell you, I've had dreams about him. Like I told him most recently, hey, I had a dream that you got married. He said, people don't realize you are connected.
Yeah.
Like, even though we're all connected anyway, but sex makes you even more connected in that sense.
Yeah.
And you just don't realize how of yourself you are just exhausted to someone else when you give away that particular part of yourself. Um, I believe that's why it's so important to have a spouse, to have a relationship, to have a wife, boyfriend, girlfriend is something that's been new way. I'm sure for whatever amount of years, I want to say like 100 years, less than that. That really thing, people would just get married. So we're out here, our generation, and then the younger generation, they're just like having sex all freely and willy nilly. And like, the girls I see, I hate, they this. And the guy's like, oh, forget girls. And mainly in the Black community, say, forget girls, forget that. And all this is just separating you from the picture,
From the
God
truth.
picture, your life picture. We aren't meant to love, and we let sex and we let other things conquer and divide us. So, like,
And we're called to
you
love.
know how we get down.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
we're called to love.
Exactly.
Struggle.
We're called to love. We're called to
I,
be in
I
relationship.
yes, yes, struggle with that because I didn't grow up. I grew up with a father who through and through, but the concept of love and understanding, I didn't get that. It
Right.
was recently within the past couple of years, like you being my best friend, you practicing patience with me for real. You, Pastor, Ms. Valerie, practicing with me. Really sitting there and let me go through my ups and downs, like hardships, my pains, and really just being an outlet for me. Even though, you tell me, hey, God's only blah blah, God's only, if you do this for so long, God can only, even though I hear those things, I'm just like, you know, blah blah. And then after a while it sinks in, like, what are you really doing, like, with me on this journey? I still want to hunch. I do. And God just keeps blocking that. And I really
Okay, so
feel
let's
it's
talk
blocking
about
that
that.
because of that. I want to say, so
How long
me and
have you been on your celibacy journey?
so now it's gonna be 6 weeks. I know that may be short to some people, but
It's big. It's big. If you have a history, it's big. Congratulate yourself.
yeah, yes. And y'all, I want to say you don't have sex with people all the time, not having sex. Sometimes you could be doing other things with toys and stuff. Let me say that too. Just think it's sex with other people. No, 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 no. Pornography, yourself, all that. It's still concluded sex.
No,
Let me just tell you that. Anyway, yeah, the celibacy journey has 6 weeks. No sex period, no blah blah blah, whatever. But even more recently, God just things and blocking situations and um my trivial efforts of things, thinking, I can do this, I could be this way. And God saying, no, you can't. Like, you've made a promise to be about your life. I'm gonna make sure that you are about it. I would get frustrated because I want to be great. I want to, persevere in those type of ways. I want to grow in God. I always pray to be a Proverbs woman. I always pray to be different than others. But I understand that nothing comes overnight unless it's willed to be. But for me in my life, things haven't been overnight. So yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting journey. Like, I pray a lot more. Well, I prayed a lot more within the past almost year now, since what, March? March was it?
mhm.
Yeah. When we started doing me and Cole was doing like
Yeah, yeah.
2 or 3 prayers for 5 months, y'all. So and I was telling Cole the other day that that's a prayer answered, about us doing the prayers and stuff when it comes to all that. And then now, the celibacy part being answered and things like that. Um, I just feel like God's doing what he needs to do to get me where I need to be. Um,
That's truth.
yeah.
And that's what I've been telling you. I'm like, God will do what he needs to do. And like it's not an easy journey to quit,
Hmm.
but when you love yourself enough, when you start to see the love of God in your life, you just automatically start to want better for yourself. You start to
Yes.
see, hey, I'm worth this, I'm worth that, I'm worth that. And I think the thing that I realize, not just with you, but in people, is that I could sit here all day trying to lecture you, trying to tell you, trying to this, trying to that. But what
Mhm.
worked the best was patience and allowing you to have the space and the freedom to do what you need to do and for God to speak to you because I am not your God. God is
Mhm.
God. And
Right.
so I can tell you stuff, but you might need to hear it from God Himself. And when He speaks and you guys have that familiarity and that communication and that relationship you're building, well,
Mhm.
that means so much more. And I'm cool with that. There's some people who be like, oh, well, you didn't hear my advice. No, 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 no. I don't care if you hear my advice, hear God's
Mhm.
because it all
Yeah.
worked for your greater good. And so I think every week that you make it without it, you should celebrate. You should, you know what I
Right.
mean, like have a grand old party and you just keep pushing. I talked in one of my episodes how I'm on 10 years. Like this last November made 10 years.
Mhm.
And how this year all of a sudden there's been an upchuck and the right person has moved into a space and it has caused me to like be flustered and kind of like trying to sort it out because when you're on
Yeah.
this journey for so long you kind of sometimes even forget that you have those feelings and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden it comes up and you're just like, well, what is this, where is it coming from? Not
Mhm.
remembering I'm still a woman. I still have hormones. I still have desires and needs and all the rest of it that kicks in. It's just kicking in an overdrive. And the
Yeah.
thing that I love that God did in this season with me is He didn't take away the desire. He's teaching me how to live with it and how to trust him for more than what my body is looking for. Did you know that ignoring your self awareness will keep you stuck and emotionally imprisoned? Man, we go through life with this hustle mentality, going, never taking a moment to stop, to breathe, until life kind of just spirals out of control. But it is time to take control. It is time to experience the freedom of your most authentic self. And I have a gift for you. I have witnessed the tears, the happiness, the joy, the transformation when I have done this workshop in jail, in colleges, in high schools, and I want to offer this to you. So, click the link below, get access to the free mini course. There's 4 videos. You are going to enjoy it, and let's get to the other side of healing because you deserve to show up authentically as you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely understand that. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and it was about sex, and we were speaking about celibacy, and it was like if you get with a girl and the girl, says, "Hey, off the rip, like I'm celibate or whatever." Vice versa if it was a guy too. The guy says, "Hey, I'm celibate, whatever." What would you do? Like they were like, "Oh, I'm gonna let them know like that's their choice, they chose to be celibate. I still want to mess with you, be cool with you, but I'm gonna have sex because that's your choice." And I said, "Well, then that makes sex your God then."
Mm.
And they were like, "No, no, that doesn't mean that." I said, "That makes sex your God." Like if you and so many people don't understand, if you rely on something so much more than God itself, it is your God. If you rely on food, you rely on sex, you rely on drugs, you rely on alcohol, you rely on all these different things except for God. And people think, "Oh, I can seek things in myself." How can you find something within yourself when you can't pinpoint the problem?
Yes,
How are you going to do that if you cannot pinpoint the problem?
exactly.
So, you got to be careful with that because you can make it your God. You don't know why you're battling things and you're battling people or you're battling entities and stuff like that. You know, most recently we were talking about, when I have dreams and stuff like that, like, there's just certain things that happen in my dreams that I tell Cole, and then, we either go to war mode or we just start trying to figure it out. And a lot of the times because of who you dealt with, or it could be you yourself. But God's always talking to us. He's always letting us know that there's something going on in the spirit.
Mm.
So when you attach yourself with other people, you're going to know about their spirit as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, sex really is something that people really should take not with a grain of salt. Like I really truly believe that if you really stop and you center yourself and you really say, "Let me give my all to God." It's hard, okay? It's not gonna be all fun and fantastic like you think it is because people think off the rip, "Oh, you know, I'm just gonna be this person." Like they just think off the rip in their mind that it's gonna be easy peasy, and the journey is not easy.
No,
The journey is not easy.
no.
And I'm sure with you with the 10 years that even though you had that desire with you at some point, you just understood that it wasn't going to be an easy journey. You didn't know you were going to be 10 years, I'm sure.
I did not.
Right. And it's like I ain't gonna lie to you. 10 years, you really thugging it out. You really depended on God. And I admire that. I really do. I truly, truly do. It shows how much you stand on what you stand on business. Let me say. You stand on
Yeah.
business, y'all.
10 toes.
Especially when it comes to sex and understanding your worth. I want to also keep reiterating that men have worth too, y'all. Like,
They
don't just
do.
think that it's all about women. Young men, older men, men in between age, you all have worth too. You all matter as well. Like your bodies matter. Who you give yourself to matters. And to my young women, my older women, and my women in between, you matter as well. Like I want all y'all to know that. Like, I need y'all to know that because it is so important. It's so vital to understand that your body is seriously and really a temple. and it
It
doesn't it 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 doesn't belong to you for real. Like, you have a
Mhm,
short lifespan. Like, you
mhm.
wanna make the best choice you can, even though you're bound to mess up. I really truly believe that if you can just reserve yourself and understand who you are and become an individual and not become part of the trend, you'll not only change your life around, but change others around.
No, for real.
So important.
And, like, can we
Yeah.
talk about that then? Because, like, one of the things that I really wanted to hit on is how body image shapes our world. Like, okay, for me,
Girl,
I was never, I was never ugly, let me just say that. And so although I was bigger, I never had trouble catching a man. And,
think
like,
about it.
I have not had trouble finding a man who found me attractive. That's just not one of the issues that I deal with, praise
Think
the
about
Lord. But there's so many people who they allow body image
it.
to because men don't find them attractive. That when they do, all of a sudden they're like, "Well, he found me cute, he found me pretty," and they're throwing it up, not understanding that he's just a manipulator. You know what I'm saying? And
And
the same
that's
with
true.
guys.
That's
And
true.
so,
Like, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, 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 go ahead, go ahead.
So that is very true. Like, can tell you, like, we as women, we have this standard when we okay, I don't want to say standard. Like, when we look on TV, we see the Kim Kardashians, we see the Beyonces, we see the, Instagram models, we see all these people, you're exercising. So now the new trend is to be skinny. Before the trend, you had to have a big butt, wide hips, and all this other stuff. Now the new trend, why is your body a trend?
Right?
Why is a body that was given to you, passed down from like generation, that was given to you, that is made perfectly inside and out? Why is it a trend? Like,
Speak.
you could just throw it on and take it off. Oh, like, I mean, I know people who have had surgery, and some for cosmetic reasons and some for, other
Mhm.
reasons. But I just want to say that think, I don't believe that you should really put yourself in a pool with everybody else. Like, why do I want to have, these type of lips like everybody else? Why do I want my um breast to look like somebody else's, my butt to look like somebody else's? Baby, I'm insecure about certain things. Like, I have stretch marks I do not like. I have tattoos in certain areas because I was trying to cover those stretch marks. You know, I have a lot of things. So, like, sometimes I don't like the way my lips look, or my fingers, or the way my body sits, or my breasts are. There's so many different things that I could say I don't like about, but I'm not going to all. I'm going to learn as I've been learning before to love them. And it's so hard because we get on, TV, not TV, but we get on Instagram, Facebook, and think that these people are reality. These people don't even look like themselves. They don't even know who they are. Why
Yeah.
would I want to like somebody else who don't like themselves?
Please explain it.
Why why would you want to like somebody else who doesn't like themselves? That's like, I saw a picture of Kardashian the other day. Well, rather, like, last year when she had like the hips and the butt and all that, and she just looked remotely just like, you put together like a Barbie. She's like one of the little Barbies that you put together.
Yeah.
And then, people just thinking, hey, this is what I want to look like. If you were symmetrically perfect, you would look you would disgusting. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying that to be disrespectful. If we were
No.
all symmetrically perfect in any type, you would look like distorted. You wouldn't look by far.
Right.
So, perfect image. Men too. Like, I've seen where they're like chest implants, or they've got like the calf implants, or
Mm.
girl, I was like,
Why?
because beauty lasts for so long.
It does.
It only lasts for so long.
It's
When
true.
we get old, into our 60s and 70s, like, are you going to be worried about what you look like? Are you going to still be trying to be young? Are you going to, trying to figure out, who am I? Like, now that I'm in this, because every age you are a different person.
Mhm.
Something about you grows. It has to grow. You your adolescence your whole life. So I mean, like, I don't want to look like nobody else when I'm like 70. I want to like me.
Mhm.
I don't
Right.
want to be going on the table trying to get surgery at 70. That girl, no. It just bio distorted these days. So I don't know. I really pray it help it turns out differently. But go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no, for real. Because and that's the thing. That's why I wanted to talk about body image because it really matters. It really distorts how people think. Now, like I said, I was never ugly, but I that doesn't mean I didn't struggle. I struggled because other people made me feel a certain way. And so when I'm looking
Mm,
at my body, when I'm looking at different things, like certain people, you take them on because they're like, oh, you're so cute, you're so pretty, and it feeds into this insecurity about how you feel, and it's almost like having sex with somebody validates that we are pretty when the two are so far from each
mhm,
other. Just because a man sleeps with me doesn't mean that I'm pretty
mhm,
because
mhm.
I've seen, I've heard conversations where men are like it had nothing to do with how she looked
Mhm.
and everything to do with the availability of her pussy. And that's just
Correct.
that.
And
And so we have to
that's what a lot of yeah.
no, no, no,
That's
no,
why
go
a
ahead,
lot
go
of
ahead, go
people
ahead, go ahead.
I was agreeing, actually. I was just agreeing.
That's the truth of it, is that we're out here with the wrong perception of what love is. And the realest love
Mhm.
is the love that comes from God, is the love that's compassionate, is the love that covers a multitude of sin, is the love that loves us on our good days and our bad days, the love that doesn't hate us, the love that is not conditional but is unconditional, the love that when we have
Yeah,
a wig on, lashes, nothing, naked, like that's the kind of love that we need.
exactly. I agree. Um, that love is something that I always thought came with expectation.
Mm,
God's love came with expectation. I remember growing up, my aunts and all that, and there was a time when I was listening to like some I forgot who it was. I think R. Kelly came out with some CD and it was a gospel CD, and I was listening to it. There was a song on that I really loved, and I would turn it up and I would just play it. So I remember one day my aunt was at my house, and I came up and I was blasting it or whatever, and it was a Christian song. And again, it's from R. Kelly. So she was like, "Oh, you need to take that veil from over your eyes." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You need to take that veil from over your eyes." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, it's like it was just like, telling me you're not you're not perfect enough to serve God.
mm,
And then I would get that throughout time in my lifetime. Like, um, I've gotten things from my parents. I remember there's times where I was like, I want to serve God, I want to do this, I want to do that. And they was like, yeah, but you need to learn how to do this. You need to learn how to do that. God isn't going to accept you where you are right now. You didn't have a baby out of wedlock. You did this, you did that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people
yeah.
tell you you have to be a certain type of way, but you gotta understand the people that are telling you this because baby, look at their lives. Look at where they are. Are they serving God?
Hello?
Like,
Phone?
like I didn't know you had to be perfect to get to someone who died because they knew you weren't perfect.
Hello,
That just
Megan?
floors me.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, someone got on the cross for you, died for you, took every sin from every possible way of life because they knew you weren't perfect. The term come as you are is coming as you are internally, externally, and all in between.
Yes.
Whatever you're fighting, whatever you're battling, like people don't realize that. And that expectation to me, I didn't understand was love. I mean, uh, that was not an expectation, you know. I just thought people had to do things, had to be a certain way with God and stuff like that. Or, even relationships, people this way, the way you expect it. I'm not saying take disrespect, but I'm also not saying that these people aren't human
Mhm,
and that you shouldn't expect people to be the way you want them to be. Except we just think in our minds, oh, this person isn't treating me the way I want to be treated. Are you
mhm,
treating the person you want to be treated? Like that
mhm,
golden rule still applies. Like treat others how you would like to be treated, no matter how selfish we are, no matter how, disappointed we are in our actions or others' actions, still have to look at God as that example, that agape love, because the expectation in it is crazy. Like there is none. There is none. Am I gonna
Yeah.
hate you? No. God said love your enemies too. Pray for them. You know,
Right.
you
Right.
telling me to pray for people I don't like?
Yes.
I don't know about
And it
that.
and that's God. That's the beauty of God.
hmm Absolutely. It is the beauty of God. And I'm just an example. You're an example. We're all examples of how God's love is. Even the people who don't love God, who don't understand that the perfect design in them is love. Like um I don't know how people do it. Like I had this discussion with you before, how you wake up every morning and you just, keep and you keep going. At the points when you break down, who do you really like? If your friends aren't there for you, if your family isn't around for you, when you break down, if you can't, look at social media, that doesn't make you happy. How can you not reach out to the very source that made you?
Right.
You know,
Right.
like that. That's that's
No, that's
love.
it. That's
It's
exactly what
love.
it is. We have a source who created us. We should be able to reach out. And that's why I've been saying this whole time, like
Mhm,
this journey of God and sex, it is not a journey for us to do by ourselves. It is a journey for us to involve God
mhm,
in what it is that we're doing, in our desires, in our body image, in our temple, the way we think, the way we feel about ourselves, the people who we engage in. God, is this somebody who I should be giving a time of day to? Is this someone I should be putting myself in the same room as, or should I run away? Like these are all things that we take
mhm,
to God because ultimately He knows everything. Ultimately, He's the
mhm,
one who has the solution before we even like, you know what I'm saying? Like before we even have the question, He has the solutions. And so this is not something for us to run and hide. And I think the hiding is what has caused a lot of insecurity. I think the hiding is what has caused a lot of us to be in shame and for further voices and anxieties and depressions to keep us kind of chained and bound because we out here trying to live and do
mhm,
everything but searching it from within ourselves. Like you said earlier, it's about making sure we're connected to a source who knows better. And like
mhm,
the thing is about the Bible that people hate is there's like, oh, it has too much rules. But if you really break it down, it's just a guideline. If you live this way, you will have a happier life. You will live more free, if you will. Like people think there's so much rules, but there's freedom in not sleeping with your spouse's what do you call it? Your best friend's husband or you know what I'm saying? Like I don't even know why I said that one, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like there's girl, I'm not after your man.
like, yeah, there's a lot of freedom in that one. A lot of freedom in that one.
But like you know what I'm saying? Like
I like,
there's so much things to do when we wait for the context of marriage. It's not punishment. It's because the beauty that you're able to have within when you've gone through the process of making sure that this person has the fruits of the spirit, making sure this person is okay. There's a lot of red flags that people ignore. And when they get divorced, they're like, I don't know what happened. Well, girl, you never involved God in it. You sought flesh.
mhm,
You let your flesh dictate, oh, he look good. He's 6'5" and dripping. And it's not about that. That is a part of it, but that's not the whole thing. And for me, that's actually probably like the lesser important things of the physical attraction is important, but more important is the spirit. 'Cause like you said, looks fade, beauty fade over time, and we need to know that this person that we're into, it's we're not just connected physically. There's more to it than that.
mhm. And I definitely agree with that. The whole um physical aspect of it. It it's interesting because I since I've gotten to a certain weight in now, um because I was going back and forth with losing weight, and then gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, and then losing weight again. Hormonal issues, endometriosis, all those different things that play a role in that. Um, so since getting to, this size now, I have a lot more men coming after me just like physical reasons. And it's okay. It's okay if you see me physically. But if the only thing that you want to do is objectify me, there's really not much that I can do for you because I'm be like, okay, well, I'm always praying for you. Jesus loves you. Hey, I'm not good at being I'm not good at being side chick. You know, I'm not good at being one night stand material because I'm always tell you I'm praying for you.
Mhm.
I'm good at it. Whether whether you deserve the prayer or not, I'm praying for you. And I'm praying for me too. I'm hoping that God changes your life as He's changing mine. Praying for the
Mhm.
trajectory of your life to change.
Mhm.
I'm as I pray these things for them, I pray these things for me as well.
Right.
Like, I don't know if that's weird, but that's how I know it's not meant to just give myself away to just anybody because I really feel like I have to do that. I have to let you know that even though we did this thing or whatever, you're still loved. Like God still loves you. There is something about you that's special.
Mhm.
And it's weird. It's very, 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 and there's times where I don't want to tell certain people certain things. Hint on hint. But I do anyway.
Right.
Do anyway, because that's just God. That's just God, not about me. It's not about how I feel. It's not about my emotions all the time, even though I suffer with those things to this day. Fighting them and having a great circle of people around you, like you, um, the people that I praise and worship with, people that I've come into contact with on certain things, like praying and talking about it, and really just letting God be God in those situations. You begin to understand it's not about you and your journey. It's about what you're doing in the journey of for God's will in your life to help others.
Mhm.
You know?
Absolutely.
And then
Um,
through that, you become perfect. Mhm.
yeah. I was gonna say one of my favorite things that you say is give your life to Christ. That's one of my favorite things that I've heard you text people. I'm like, hey, give your life to
Oh,
Christ.
and man, be like, oh, let's do this, do this. That's cool. Did you get your life to Christ?
Because it
Do you love
matters.
Jesus?
Because it
It does
matters.
matter. It does matter. And I'm not saying, and I want to say this too. Yes, it does matter. But some people have this idea that because a person's in church,
Ooh.
they go every Sunday, they raise their hands, they do all these other things religiously,
Mhm. Mhm.
that that is what we want. No, 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 sir. Do you have a foundation in which to where you pray and you cry out and you give your heart and you express your heart? You give every little ounce of you to this entity who we call the creator of all beings. Do you know that
Yeah.
Jesus Christ died for your sin?
Yeah.
Do you know that you are special? You are meant for far more. Do you know that? Because if you know that, then we can talk. That is
Mhm.
when I say that is why have you given your life to Christ. Not, oh, do you go to church on Sunday? I ain't asked you.
Yeah.
Do you know how to read your Bible? I didn't ask you that.
Yeah.
Did you get baptized last week? I didn't ask you that.
Yeah.
Did you give your life to Christ?
Yes.
Because my expectation of you in any sense of the way is and far from an idea of my own. So, did you give Christ basically means that. Have
Absolutely.
you surrendered in that that it's not all about what you want in this life, but rather the love and the help that you are willing to give others beyond
Yep.
yourself.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Beautiful. Said.
Did you get your life to
Beautiful.
Christ,
Said.
baby?
Beautifully said. Because I'm tired of the men who go to church but they're struggling with masturbation, or women are struggling with so many different things, lust issues, insecurities, beating themselves down, or like just knocking it back, coochie wide open. Like God died for so much, Jesus died for so
Wide
much more
open.
than wide open. And I
Absolutely.
can say that because I used to be that.
Wide.
You know what I'm saying? Like I love the
Yeah.
fact that we don't talk from a place of judgment, as in like, girl, that's so nasty. No, no, no. That used to be us, and we've allowed
Mm-hmm.
Jesus to come into a crevice in our hearts
Mm-hmm.
and transform our lives, and we're watching it play out. We have different journeys. Me's been 10 years, you's been 6 weeks. Different journeys, but the end result is still the same: the transformation of God and understanding the value of sex and the value of not giving it up, and the value of understanding our bodies. And so now when somebody sees us, nobody is going to make us feel insecure about who we are, because we're like, we have a strong foundation. We are built on God. Our personalities are fantastic. You know what I'm saying? Like we go through the checklist, and not in vanity, just the checklist of the authority that we have in Christ. And that's what we stand upon,
Absolutely.
versus a man just coming and saying, oh, you're cute, you're beautiful, you're this, you're that. Cool. Heard that. Come with something else. Give me some more Jesus. Um, and the quick thing I'll slide in there is we did an episode a while back called Side Chick Chronicles, and there's like 3 different episodes, and I loved that series. I'll make sure I link it somewhere in here, but I love that series because we talked about how we, fell onto the other side of it, not necessarily become understanding what it could happen or what it could be to become a side chick, understanding how people fall into that role, understanding how a lot of people are unhealed, but then also understanding this is how you walk away from it, understanding that that's not our identity and we're not taking that on, and just giving our lives back to God, even in those instances. Everything comes back to repentance, saying, God, I'm sorry, I'm a mess up. Take it, cleanse it, let's try this
God, I'm
again.
yes. And
God,
I
life
want
is
to
just
piggyback
yo.
off that real quick too. Like, I no, absolutely. Like, and during those times, when we talked about the side chick chronicle, doing all these different things, I actually had to sit with those thoughts, and I was like, did I ever ask God to forgive me? Did I ever
Mm,
ask God to even though I'm in the wrong, and even though he did what he did too, I play a part in this, and I know God, and I should know that I have to turn to him for forgiveness, repentance. I literally asked God, um, please forgive me. I'm praying for that family. I'm praying that you, uh, resolve any issues they have, and whatever role, Father God, I ask and pray that have mercy on me, like, because I know that in my heart I was looking for something, and it just wasn't from that person. I was looking for something that I really need to look for in God, and I didn't take the time to do that. I was looking for it here, there, and everywhere else except for in God. And so, um, you know, I've prayed about it, still am, you know, I feel certain type of ways about that situation, but I know at some point, I'll get ease about things. I'll get, the understanding I need to get from that. Like, I don't want to make any excuses and saying, this is the right thing to do, or that people should, be that way. But knowing the other side of it, a lot of times people don't want to face their reality, women or even men, because I know men who side dudes to girls in relationships. You don't want to face you, so you rather be in a relationship with this so-called relationship with a person who has somebody else, because you don't want them to see the real you. You don't want to let them see them the tragic side of you, the pain that you really feel, or the hurt that you feel when this person goes back to where they belong and you're still alone by yourself. You still have to deal with your own issues. Now, some people will lie and tell you, "Oh, I'm okay with this, and that never bothered me." Yes, it does.
yeah,
It's you. At some or another, it bothers you.
that was me. I would tell niggas no strings attached.
Mm,
Don't worry about it. We good. I still had to sit with it, but
mm,
because I knew that men didn't want a woman who was all like whiny and emotional, I took the other I'm like, "Don't worry about it." I took, like, the numbing effect to it. I said, "We good." Situation still bothered me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
And it's not
Like,
that this came to me.
I think you just no, go ahead.
No, 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 finish your thought, 'cause I'm gonna do something different.
I ain't got no thoughts. I don't have none. Go ahead, bro.
All I was gonna say is,
Mhm.
no, when talking about insecurities, we talked about insecurities as in, like, body image and
Yeah.
figure, but the thought that came to me is also insecurities in where we are in life. Insecurities about our finances, insecurities about
Mm.
things that we're doing, insecurities about being able to provide for our children. I was explaining to my son's father last night, because he had asked me about my son, and I explained to him that there was a man who I didn't have to, but who I slept with, because whenever he came over, he would order us food. And then whatever change was left from the food, I got to keep it. And so I told him, I'm like, well, to feed your kid, I had to let a man crawl on top of me because I knew he'd A, buy food, and B, leave me the change. So I took the money the next day and go feed your child. Now, in the real world, they would call it prostitution. But in my world, I said I was just doing what I had to do. But I had food insecurity. I was insecure as a mother, trying to make sure my son ate, trying to make sure he
Mhm.
was good. And so I did things out
Mhm.
of desperation that I probably typically wouldn't do. And so insecurity plays a role in
Mhm.
different ways that we attach sex to, and it's not just the body image.
Correct. And I want to say, thank God you were able to provide the best way that you knew how, the best way that you could. I know some people, they see this podcast and they're like, oh, that's crazy. You don't know what you're doing in that situation in life. You
Mm,
have no idea what you would do. Like, I remember when I was 4 months pregnant, me and his father decided we were married, but his father ended up going back to jail.
mm,
Um, that's a long story. We'll talk about it another day. But he ended up going back to jail and was left with, being pregnant. And and I want to say this too. All the people who like, oh, single mothers, blah, 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 blah. Let's just cut that narrative out. Because it takes
mm,
two to tango,
mhm.
men and women. Let's
Yes.
not blame everything on women all the time. Because if we could be honest, the seed comes from the man.
Yes.
So technically, it was your whole responsibility. We were the nurture of the seed, but
Yes.
you are the king of the seed.
Yes.
So let me
Oh,
let me get out that, but that's what I want to say.
that was
But
good.
yeah, so I went to Canada, stayed there for a while, and had my son. And then I wasn't getting along with my mom and dad and mom and stepfather. And I was, saying I'm gonna leave and I'll do all this other stuff. And she was like, well, you can leave, but you can't take that baby.
Mm,
And I was like, I don't want to be around her. I don't want to be in this drama that she's got going on. I mean, me and my mother had a, different kind of relationship back then. But I was like, whatever. Like I my son, but I'm not gonna be in a situation to where I'm in pain too all the time. At least I know that if I do go, that she'll take care of him better than she
mhm.
would have if it were me. So
Right.
then I struggled with that for a while. Um I would have people tell me, what kind of mother does that? What kind of mother are you? But you don't know me, you know. You don't know that I was homeless. You don't know that I had to really fight. I had to do things I didn't want to do. I was like this waitress. I called myself trying to be a dancer. That didn't even last long. Like, I saw
Mhm.
drugs, I saw all type of things going on with different people and all in the namesake of, me trying to prove my mother wrong, me trying to prove everybody wrong. Like I can't be a good mother. I can't do this. I can't do that. But I just feel like people don't understand your situation or your struggle. Like they just really just want to judge you, just want to say, what they would do in a situation when you've never been in that situation. So I don't let people I don't let people get under my skin anymore because I think that it just they're just being themselves. Okay, well, until you get in that situation, I can't take what you say for face value
Yeah,
at all.
100%.
But me and my son have a great love relationship now. He's being rebellious. He's in a rebellious stage now, but we do have a great relationship. That was something I had used to pray for from God, because that was an insecurity of mine that he would grow up
Mhm.
hating me, and I was kind of prepared for that. Like I would blame for everything. Even if he said, "Oh, you're the reason, Dad," blah blah blah, I would blame for all that. And I didn't mind if that was going to happen, but it didn't happen that way. And I, prayed, 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 prayed for a long time about it. But me and Cole be praying for that young man because that
Course. You
whew,
know,
child,
you know,
that boy,
yeah. Yeah, you know.
this boy that is crazy. But yeah, so I
No,
people
it's
don't
important.
people don't. Mm-hmm. Good.
Exactly what you're saying. People don't know the story. People don't know what it is. People don't
Mhm.
judge. And at the end of me telling my son's father this, you know what he texted me and said? Thank you for doing what you felt like you needed to do to make sure my child was safe.
Mhm.
And that's what it
Absolutely.
is. Now, have I
Absolutely.
learned from that? Yes. I definitely have learned
Mhm.
from that. There's different ways that, I would do things differently now. My coping mechanisms are different now. My relationship
Yes.
with God is different now. I no longer think I'm the enemy. Like I felt like I was an enemy. And so if you make me to be the enemy, I'm gonna do what the enemy does. Broke out. But
Yeah.
building a relationship with God and building a relationship in love, I'm really, really, really excited for our future marriages because I see the healing and the
Mhm.
work that God has put through us. I feel the transformation that He's done, and I know that these next men relationships that we get into, whether it be friendships or actual like our husbands, they're going to be nurtured differently because
Mhm.
we show up differently, because we're healed, because
Mhm.
we understand people. So we're going to show up
Right.
with patience because we needed patience. We're going to show up with
Mhm.
grace and compassion because we needed grace and compassion. And so it looks a lot different when you practice forgiveness, forgiving of ourselves, forgiving of other people, forgiving of our bodies for
Mhm.
allowing it to do what it needs to do, and really just seeing life for what it is, the beauty of love,
Mhm.
and practicing that, giving that, and then making sure we understand how to receive it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope that whatever comes out of this life, whatever expectation um from God, that comes with the responsibility of love, the responsibility of caring for others and being more transparent, not being so secretive, which I don't understand. Like I don't understand that whole part of people want to
Yeah.
keep stuff to themselves. Oh, don't listen. All y'all messed up. Okay,
Mhm.
honey, we is messed up.
Mhm.
Everybody's messed up.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean that everybody's for you. That mean that you're always gonna have, the best people in your life to be your friend or whatever. It doesn't always mean that you're gonna be, around people for certain time periods. But just still loving people, and um, I guess my only goal in life is to be remembered for love.
Ooh,
If I could be honest,
yeah.
if I could be extremely honest, my ultimate goal in this life is remembered for love. Was an expectation that my grandmother set unknowingly before she passed away. She was like this great example of love, and I was like, I want to be that. I want to be this
Mm,
example of love. I ain't got to give you my cootie cat. I ain't got
mm,
to give you all my money. I ain't got to do all that, but I still I want to be if I depart a small word into your life, I just want to be a member for that. That's it.
amen. Yes, best friend. Get it. Get it.
You so silly, girl. Listen,
I think
this is so beautiful.
I think we're gonna end it there because What else can I say but that?
Oh,
You ended it perfectly. You took
yeah.
thank you. Thank you. That was really special.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much.
Thank you for being an example
Oh,
too.
you're welcome.
I appreciate it. I do.
Absolutely. Listen, Jesus is my biggest example. My book is not called Casualty of Love's Apologies for No Reason. Love is important. And so
Mhm.
thank you for loving
Amen.
me. Thank you for loving other people. Thank you for not allowing love or the lack of it in your life to allow you to be bitter. But thank you for allowing it to transform you and just truly grow you into a truly beautiful individual who I'm proud of. I know God's proud of, and your future husband is going to love dearly.
Yes, he is. I'll keep praying for him every chance I get.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for listening. I know we don't typically do an hour, but we hit it because, the conversation was fire.
Mm,
And as always, I'm going to say, make sure you check the outro. Don't click off because it's really important. And if nobody has told you, we love you. We love you. We hope you took some nuggets from this.
we love you.
Please replay it because it definitely was a dope conversation. Enjoy your night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Au revoir.
What would it look like if we were a people that were healed? What would it look like if we were people that believed in doing the work necessary to remove trauma, to get through grief, and to come out on the other side? Man, we think that therapy is the only way. Therapy is a great way, but there's also a creative way that can help us get through this process. My name is Kola. I am an amazing artist, and I have a program called Restore and Embrace Myself. It is all about the healing and the getting through and the getting over. And if nobody told you, you are special and you are so deserving of so much more in this world. So get in contact with me because I'd love to work with you.